Hello everyone! The Burning Legion has invaded Azeroth once again, and mages are able to pick up 3 different artifacts to empower them in this war. For the Fire Mage, it's Felo'melorn or Flamestrike in its native tongue. Born into battle by members of the Sunstrider family, as they proved their valor in the War of the Ancients, during the Troll Wars, and against the Death Knight Arthas Menethil. Ultimately, the sword was lost in the frigid waste of Northrend, and the Council of Tirisfal has spent ages trying to recover the blade. Its control over the primal forces of fire would be devastating in the wrong hands, but imagine what we could do with it. And Archmage Modera, she is a lead on where we might be able to find it.
Greetings. I trust this projection is clear. This is Modera, Archmage of the Council of Six. I've come across a lead on a weapon that could significantly aid your fight against the Legion. My source is, well, unable to join us within the city. I ask that you meet with me at the crater of Dalaran's foundation in Hillsbrad. Due to the sensitive nature of this matter, I must ask for your discretion. If you attempt to speak to me at any other location, I will disavow all knowledge of this message. I await your arrival.
It's Ava's Sunreaver that provides the information, and his relation with the Kirin Tor and the Council, it has not been the best ever since Mist of Pandaria. During that expansion, War Chief Garrus Hellstream tried to get his hands on the Divine Bell, an item created by the Mogu, which empowered their warriors, fueling their hatred and anger, lending them strength on the field of battle. The bell's screaming voice also struck fear and doubt into the hearts of the Mogu enemies, sending them fleeing in their path. Luckily, the Alliance got to the bell first, securing a safe future for them, since they could not imagine what atrocities Garrus would commit if the bell would fall into his hands. They took it to Darnassus for safekeeping, but Aphis and the Horde, they used portals from Dalaran to steal it and bring it to the War Chief. This did not sit well with Jaina Proudmoore, leader of the Kirin Tor at the time, and she would not be betrayed again. Those responsible would be punished.
Aethys Sunreaver! You've betrayed the Kirin Tor, Sunreaver. You've allowed Garrosh to move his forces through my city.
You have it all wrong, Jaina. I did nothing.
You looked the other way. You and your insubordinate kind are no longer welcome here.
This is our city too, Proudmoore.
I see. I will remove the Sunreavers by force then. You, Aethys, will be coming with me.
Jaina, together with the Silver Covenant, take action, and the Purge of Dalaran takes place, in which they imprison those that surrender, and they murder those that don't. On the Horde side, they went in to actually liberate Aphis, and part of the quest never made into the game since the scene bugged out. When you were stealing the bell from Darnassus, Aphis was actually supposed to find your portal, follow in, and go like, "What are you doing? You can't use Kirin Tor resources for the war efforts." The orc you were with was supposed to go nose to nose with him and say, "You better decide where your loyalties lie, elf." And then Aphis slings back through the portal to Dalaran, where he says that he saw nothing. So when Jaina accused him of looking the other way, she was actually right. But then again, he did somewhat try to stop the Horde from using the Kirin Tor for their own gain. If only people would talk and actually explain things to each other, instead of keeping secrets like that and immediately have the water elementals murder their guards. Ah well, it is what it is. Garrosh did end up with the Divine Bell, and Anduin Wrynn nearly paid the ultimate price to stop him. Jaina still refused to work with the Horde, even with the threat of the Legion upon us, so Khadgar called for a vote. The council voted to let the Horde back in, and Jaina left the city. The change of leadership does offer opportunities, as Ava shows up to assist us with obtaining the artifact.
Thank you both for meeting me in such an inhospitable location. I assure you that if I were able to meet you in Dalaran, I would.
The wounds inflicted by the Divine Bell incident run deep, Aethys. Others in the Council are not as forgiving as I.
Precisely why I'm here. If I can't return to my former position, then perhaps the Council would at least consider restoring my access to the city. As a show of good faith, I have information to offer.
I will bring your case before the others, but I cannot promise the outcome will be in your favor.
You have my thanks, friend. I once knew Liandra Sunstrider, a distant relative of King Anasterion. Though she bore the Sunstrider name, in truth, her branch of the family held no claim to the throne. After Quel'thas's betrayal, she became obsessed with finding Felo'melorn to claim it for her own. I told her it was a fool's errand, that she'd never find the relic. Indeed, It has been many years since I last heard from her. But with the legions coming, I decided to begin my own search for the location of the blade. I saw a vision of Leandra with the weapon in hand. Around her, the land was covered in ice, and an all too familiar fortress loomed behind her.
Icecrown, you believe you'll find her there?
Indeed I do. And nothing happens in that citadel unless its master wills it. I would not be surprised to learn he had a hand in this.
It's Icecrown, where the artifact can be found, and Aphis, he can make us a portal, but he can't immediately join us, so it will take some time to gather more power. The Lich King will no doubt sense the magic of our arrival, so we'll have to move fast to locate Felo'melorn and secure it.
I sense an intruder who has come in search of plunder. You underestimate the dangers of Icecrown, foolish mage. Your thoughts are transparent. I sense you have come seeking Felo'melorn. You hope to use it against the Legion. Interesting. I wonder if you are as powerful as you believe, then perhaps you may prove more worthy of the sword than the last mage who came to claim it. But be warned, I will not be responsible for the fate which befalls you, any more than I was for what happened to the last Seeker who hoped to take my relic. Should you succeed, the blade is yours. But if you should fail, then you will become a mindless minion of the Scourge. Do not expect my protection.
Bolvar the Lich King is letting us in, but he offers us no protection. A test to see if we are truly worthy of the blade. Before us stands a conjurer blowing chill winds, and the cubes of ice break open, revealing frozen ads. As we make our way through the frozen halls of Icecrown, let's dive a little bit deeper into the history of Felo'melorn, and this time we have a special guest, known to be very interested in the weapon. Preacher, it's all yours.
All right, Noble, I almost guarantee you're not going to use this take, but I just thought I'd show you how I'd write your story, mate. Yeah? You ready? All right. So we're not sure, but rumor has it that Dath'Remar has a dream. And in the dream, he sees Felo'melorn, the Flame Strike. In the dream, it's burning like the sun, and it's chopping through enemies that it left nothing but a river of blood. So when Dath'Remar wakes up, he tells this renowned magesmith, Luminarian, all about what he sees in the dream. So Luminarian crafts the weapon from the description. Then the War of the Ancients kicks off, right? And Dath'Remar sees that Ashara's plan of bringing in the Legion isn't going to be a good time. Him and some High Elves defect to the Night Elf resistance to fight the demons. Dath'Remar's got Felo'melorn in hand, and he goes absolutely berserk blood crazy, tearing demon fools up all day. And by the end, he's head to toe covered in demon blood. Which is gross, but it inspires the Night Elves to see that victory might just be possible, and as we know, it was. After the Burning Legion is crushed, the elves decided that arcane magic was an executable offense. But for Dath'Remar and the other Highborn, it's their birthright. It's all they've ever known, and they can't resist it. So not only do they continue to do it, but they do it openly and publicly. They can't all be executed, because by this point, there are so many people using magic that they just had to exile them, which they're not bothered about. Dath'Remar and the other arcane-using Highborn are totally fine with being kicked out, because they don't want to live under these rules anyway. So they build a big fleet, and they sail away from Kalimdor to see what is beyond the Maelstrom. However, they start to change, physically and mentally. They stop worshipping the moon, and they switch over to worshipping the sun. They also change their name to the High Elves, naming their newly found land High Home, or Quel'thelas as we know it. This new home is going to be bigger and better than what they'd left behind. People are going to look at Quel'thelas as a monument for the ages. Not only that, but they had a vial of the original well that Dath'Remar had taken before they left. So they used that to make their own well. And you know it, it's the Sunwell. Once all was set up and running, there was peace, there's prosperity, and Dath'Remar decides, alright, I'm going to step down as leader and I'm going to chill. But his bloodline goes on to inherit all he had made, including Felo'melorn. In the time of Anasterian Sunstrider, who is Dath's great-grandson, the trolls have become the enemy of the High Elves. Anasterian uses Felo'melorn and culls so many tusk faces that the sword becomes known as the Troll Killer. The trolls make up stories and myths around the weapon, even going as far as to have witch doctors use hexes and curses against the weapon. But not even bad mojo voodoo could stop the weapon. Even with Felo'melorn on their side, though, the High Elves needed help against the sheer amount of trolls. It was the humans, led by Thoradin of Arathor, who would be their ally. Together they would break through the troll armies and defeat the trolls. In exchange for this help, the High Elves educated the humans in the ways of magic. A pretty square deal. Around the time of Warcraft 3, Prince Arthas Menethil falls to the whispers of the Lich Kings, picks up his Frostmourne, and sets out on his mission to res Kel'thuzad. To res the Necromancer, they needed a great source of power. A Subwell-sized source of power. So the cloud of death that was the Scourge descends on Highhome. The elves try and try, but as the Scourge army... You know the Scourge army keeps coming and coming. Anasterian, old now and despite his age, stands toe-to-toe with Arthas, with Felo'melorn in hand. But, yeah... Arthas not only slices through Felo'melorn and smashes it in two, but he keeps going straight through Anasterian as well. And Arthas corrupted the Sunwell and succeeds in bringing Kel'thuzad back to life. So in comes Kael'thas Sunstrider, Anasterian's son. He's not there during the battle that brought his father death. He could never have imagined Felo'melorn could have been broken, but he also never thought Quel'thelas could have fallen to the Scourge. In memory to all those who died in that battle and soaked the grounds in blood, the High Elves renamed themselves the Blood Elves, or the Sindori. Kael had the sword reforged, and some say, it was by a blood descendant of Luminarian, the original magesmith, but it's just a rumour. With the blade reforged, Kael hauls ass to meet Arthas on his way to merge with Ner'zhul at the top of Icecrown. So there's the showdown. And with all good showdowns, there's some smack talk. Arthas taunts Kael that broken swords are weak after reforging, but Kael shoots back that the swords reforged with magic are stronger than ever before, especially when motivated by hate and revenge. Kael goes on that Felo'melorn is stronger than ever, similarly to the Sindori, who are also stronger than ever after having been broken. It's a really good speech. Unfortunately for Kael, though, Arthas is pretty much Brock Lesnar and beats the shit out of him and causes him to run away. The sword, Felo'melorn, the flame strike, it's lost in Northrend. Until now.
And there you have it, the history behind this legendary blade. The reason why we're here, but another has already picked up the blade before us.
I too came to Icecrown in search of Felo'melorn. The Lich King gave me the blade, and more. He gave me purpose. Only when the blinding pain of life left me did I see the truth. Only then was the majesty of the plan revealed. You do not realize that you're groping in the darkness. Felo'melorn would be wasted in your hands. The blade is mine, by the will of the Master, and by rights of blood. Oppose me and you will be struck down!
A couple of frozen walls stand in our way, as well as a couple of frozen enemies, but we're fire mages, so it's not much of a problem. Leandra holds the power over fire, and she has her own minions to send at us.
Foolish mortal! You should have fled when you had the chance. Arise, ghouls! Feast upon this intruder's heart! Unacceptable! My minions will rip you apart! I will not be defeated! Come, my pet! Sate your hunger with the flesh of the living! Enough of these games! This ends here. If you long for my blade so badly, then you shall have it! Awaken, Gullwing! Tear my foe asunder!
I'm with you, hero. I'll hold Leandra at bay. Focus on destroying. She's trying to counter my spell. I won't be able to hold her much longer.
You.
Hurry!
Have you forgotten who I am?
I remember who you were,
This
but the
ends
creature before me
now.
now is but a walking corpse.
With Aphis at our side, we take out Gorwing the Awakened, who only really wanted to go back to sleep, and then, despite her wielding the mighty Felo'melorn, even Leandra falls to our might.
So cold.
All doubt has been banished. You are truly worthy of the blade. Claim your prize and leave, hero. The living have no place within my prison of ice.
An inglorious stain upon the Sunstrider name has been cleansed. Good work, hero.
Felo'melorn is in our possession, and Aphis has proven to be a valuable ally. We join him in Dalaran as he pleads his case before the council.
Be careful.
As you can see, our former colleague followed through on his promise of assistance. I trust you will take that into account as you consider his request to be allowed back in the city.
How do we know he won't betray the Kirin Tor once again?
If he wished to use the blade for his own ends, he would have simply given it to one of his Sunreavers. Aethas's actions appear to be genuine. I say we grant his request.
Very well. That's 2 in favor of allowing Aethas back into the city. Answer him. How do you vote?
Very well. I trust the wisdom of Carlane's council. I vote yes.
And what say the rest of you?
Yes, of course.
Then it is decided. Aethas Sunreaver, you are free to go. Do not misuse this opportunity given to you.
Aphis is allowed back into the city, and perhaps he can figure out what exactly happened to the Blood Elves that were imprisoned by Jaina during the Purge, since I don't believe that they've ever explained if they were released or not. Oh well, at least Fire Mages have obtained the legendary blade Felo'melorn, ready to wield it in the war against the Legion and adventure through the Broken Isles. However, those are the story for another day, so for now, thank you very much for watching everyone. Also a big thank you to Preach for joining me on this one. It was an absolute blast to hear him talk some lore. I've linked one of his videos on screen, as well as a link in the description down below to his channel. And that's all I have for you today, ladies and gentlemen. Until next time, guys. See ya!